Hi to everyone out there, this is Roar with another update. Before I begin though, I wanted to send some love and support out to a special boy named Daniel. He's 15 years old and he just got diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin lymphoma. So Daniel, best of luck as you go throughout your treatment. Hopefully on the back end of all this kind of pain that you're about to go through, you'll be a stronger person and have some great stories to tell in the future. So best of luck. Let us know if there's anything we can do to support you through your treatment. I've had the unique opportunity in this position that I put myself in, kind of putting these videos online, of having people reach out to me, whether they be cancer patients, cancer survivors, or caregivers themselves, for advice or for just support from me, and it's been awesome. So specifically Daniel, best of luck, and we'll be rooting for you, brother. So I finished chemotherapy round 6 about 2 weeks ago. I have chemotherapy round 7 tomorrow morning. As far as the side effects, they've been about the same of what they've been in the past. The neuropathy, or that numbness and tingling in my fingertips and toes, is still in full effect pretty much. I've had more GI, or like belly issues, if you will, some gas and bloating and just kind of uneasy feeling in my stomach, more than the past. It just kind of lasted longer. This past round, it wasn't too comfortable. Today I feel normal though, and I feel good with respect to that. The anemia is still kind of in full effect as well, so the big thing really with that is the fatigue. So the first week I was pretty tired, pretty much down for the count in my bed. I typically expected that anemia to last only about 5 to 6 days as far as the fatigue, but this time it lasted a good 8 or 9 days before I really felt kind of human and was able to do normal things throughout the day without being fully tired. Specifically where I felt that was trying to go for runs or trying to work out at the gym. Recovery time between workouts was excessively long, or just didn't have the energy to complete the workouts. And my runs, I just couldn't keep running. I just couldn't get the air in my system to keep going. So it's definitely frustrating, but I know it's not going to last forever, and so that's what I continue to hold on to. And I feel good today, so hopefully I'll be able to get a nice 2 or 3 mile run in after I make the video. Still have that chemical flavor in the back of my mouth and in my throat, so anything I eat kind of still tastes chemically, or like a medicinal hospital flavor. I don't know how else to describe it. And then my taste is still kind of changed on my tongue. It's like my either taste buds have died or they've just shifted in flavor, so things just taste a little bit more bland or just a little bit off from what I remember them tasting like before this whole chemotherapy experience began. Irritability is still a thing. With this past round, I think it was a little bit more enhanced because I've been so tired. So I've had to concentrate on controlling my emotions, and I've gone to some meditation practices, and there's an app I like called Headspace, which kind of helps me just kind of focus on evaluating myself and my thoughts and my emotions, and I think that's helped a little bit as far as controlling those with that. Hair loss is still in full effect as well. I haven't shaved in probably 2 or 3 weeks, my face and my head, and you can see there's really not much else there. There's peach fuzz that's kind of growing. I'll probably shave it today and I'll be good for another 3 or 4 weeks. It's weird to be in a position kind of like it was in high school where you could shave once and you're good for a few weeks. It's a strange feeling with respect to that. My eyebrows are slowly starting to come out. My eyelashes are finally coming out as well. There's some patches there, and my leg hair is coming out as well. There's just kind of bald spots. Not to the point where I'm going to shave my legs, but I could definitely see them being bare in the next maybe month or 2. Hopefully we'll be done with chemo and hair will start growing by then. As far as good things or side effects I haven't experienced in a while, I haven't experienced any mouth sores, which is good. That was around chemotherapy round 3 or 4. I had some mouth sores for a couple weeks, but that's gone away. And then no more hiccups. That was for the first round only, luckily. I got medicine after that, and luckily I never needed a medicine, but that was painful with those hiccups for that first round there. So as far as an update for my family, Jean, who has been my primary caregiver throughout this entire experience, has been nothing but a superwoman. She has been our rock for our family, and she's just the most amazing person in the world, and I love her so much. Her ability to juggle the stresses of canceling a move and juggling 4 kids at the end of the school year, transitioning to the summer when all of our 4 kids are around full time, with me being home full time every other week, and just being super needy. She has been just a spectacular spouse, caregiver, a mother, and I don't know if I could be as chipper and positive and optimistic throughout this whole experience without her in my life. So Jean has been nothing but awesome. I really hope to try to get her on one of these videos to hopefully support those caregivers that are out there, because I know a lot of the stress and burden on cancer patients is put on their family and their caregivers as they go throughout this process. So a special shout out to Jean. I love her so much, and she's awesome. My kids have also been a huge motivator for me throughout this whole process. My 4-year-old daughter, Juliet, she'll say things like, "Daddy, you need to go for a run to stay strong and beat cancer." And so it is motivating to hear her say things like that. And as I go and do my runs, I envision them, and it's just a huge motivation for me throughout this whole process. Beyond them dealing with my irritability and them occasionally telling me that I look better with hair, they're doing really well throughout this whole process. And again, I attribute most of their ability to handle this so well to Jean as the rock of the family, and being the best caregiver, wife, and mother throughout all of this. And also, as far as my career, I'm still waiting to hear what my future holds in the Air Force as a pilot. My flight doc has prepared my medical evaluation board, or MEB, package to be submitted. My commander is going to write his 2 cents, and that's going to be submitted all as one big package to the big Air Force. After that's done, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to turn around, and then hopefully we'll know our fate in or around that period of medical retirement or staying in the Air Force. After talking to my flight doc, she made it seem pretty positive based on how quickly the chemotherapy has responded to killing this cancer. At least the initial scan, that PET-CT scan, she made it seem like I should have no problem returning to fly in the next 6 months or so. I'll hopefully be back in the jets flying, so that'll be awesome. We'll see what happens there. All right, on to the diet focus point for today, added sugars. So anything from peanut butter to breads to ketchup, you're going to see a lot of added sugar in a lot of the processed foods that are out there today. So a lot of these guidelines that I pulled are from the World Health Organization, or from the American Heart Association, or from the U.S. Dietary Guidelines that are recommendations for us. So let's get into kind of what's recommended for us in our daily intake of added sugars. So the guidelines recommend that sugar intake for adults and children worldwide should be reduced. In both adults and children, the intake of free sugar should be reduced to less than 10% of their total energy intake, and a further reduction to below 5% would provide additional health benefits. Now, these recommendations in the guideline are associated with what they're calling free sugars. So essentially any sugar that you think of, so sugar, high fructose corn syrup or corn syrup, as well as sugars occurring naturally that are present in honey or syrups or fruit juices or fruit concentrates, whenever they're added to the foods by the manufacturer, by the cook, or the consumer, those are the sugars that they're talking about. Free sugars are different from intrinsic sugars, which are found in whole fruits and vegetables. So there's no reported evidence that links the consumption of intrinsic sugars or these whole fruits and vegetables to adverse health effects. So these guidelines don't apply to the sugars found in the whole foods, essentially. So what does this mean? If you eat a 2,000 calorie diet, your goal is to eat less than 200 calories, or about 50 grams of sugar. The American Heart Association is even stricter. They recommend that women consume no more than 100 calories, or 24 grams of added sugar per day, and men consume no more than 150 calories, or about 36 grams of sugars per day. Now realize these sugars are going to add up very quickly. As you'll see, the average can of soda has anywhere from 35 to 55 grams of sugar, so right there you're essentially at or above your daily recommended intake of your added sugar. So just something to be aware of. As a mindful eater now, hopefully you're starting to look at the ingredient list on your foods, as well as the nutrition labels in the back, just to kind of see what you're consuming and what you're putting in your body. So I'm going to quickly go over reasons why added sugar is bad for your health. This list was taken from Healthline.com, which is a great evidence-based website, and I'll put a link in the information below if you're curious and want to get more information. Essentially, every fact that they throw out there has plenty of studies to back up why it is the way it is. So let's get into these reasons why added sugar is not good for you. Number 1, it can cause weight gain. Number 2, consuming too much added sugar will increase your risk of heart disease. Number 3, it has been linked to acne. Number 4, increases your risk of diabetes, which most of you are probably well aware of. So sad fact for you is the fact that the number of people who have diabetes in the world has doubled in the past 30 years. Number 5, may increase your risk of cancer. Number 6, may increase your risk of depression. Number 7, may accelerate the skin aging process. Number 8, it drains your energy. Number 9, it can lead to fatty liver. This is another reason why if you're going through chemotherapy, the doctors recommend minimizing your sugar intake, because your liver is already working so hard. You don't want it to work extra hard trying to process all the sugar. It can also increase your risk of kidney disease. May negatively impact your dental health, which we are all well aware of. It can increase your risk of developing gout, which is an inflammatory condition, and can also accelerate cognitive declines. So as you can see, there are a lot of negative effects of having too much added sugar in our diet. The research with regards to the sugar's impact on our health continues to evolve, and new discoveries are constantly made. But in the meantime, how can we reduce the amount of added sugar that we intake? I think that one, again, is being a mindful consumer and a mindful eater. Always looking at those ingredient lists and ingredient label, trying to eat whole foods as much as we can versus the processed foods. But in general, those are the big steps. Here's a list that Healthline recommends that I think are pretty good just to consider while we're on the topic. They recommend swapping sodas and energy drinks for water or unsweetened seltzer. Trying to go with plain yogurt and sweeten it with fresh or frozen berries instead of buying the flavored or sugar-loaded yogurt. Consume whole fruits instead of sugar-sweetened fruit smoothies. Replace candy with a homemade trail mix of fruit, nuts, and if you need to, some dark chocolate. Ideally, it's at least 72% cocoa. Use olive oil and vinegar in place of the sweeter salad dressings like honey mustard. Choose marinades, nut butters, and ketchup and marinara sauce with 0 or added sugar. Look for cereals, granolas, and granola bars with under 4 grams of sugar per serving as kind of a general rule of thumb. Swap your morning cereal, if you can, with a bowl of rolled oats, topped with some nut butter or some fresh berries, or replace it with an omelet and some fresh greens. Instead of using jelly to sweeten up your breads, get some sliced bananas on your peanut butter sandwich. Use nut butters in place of sweet spreads like Nutella. And then if you can, when you go shopping, try to shop the perimeter of the grocery store. That should be your goal. Ideally, when you get to the grocery store, you just do the loop around the perimeter, because in general, that's where the fresh foods are that aren't going to have as much of those added sugars. The best way to limit your added sugar intake is to prepare your own healthy meals at home and avoid buying foods and drinks that are high in added sugar, obviously. All right, everyone at this point knows that too much added sugar has a lot of negative health implications for us. What I wasn't aware of prior to me kind of researching this topic was, what do I consider too much when it comes to sugar? So with the knowledge you have now, however you want to challenge yourself, if you want to start at 50 grams per day or 36 or 24 grams per day, challenge yourself and read the labels of the processed foods that you're eating. You don't need to worry about the whole foods. If you're popping some strawberries in your mouth, that's great, whatever. Don't worry about that, the sugar in the strawberries, but start to look at the added sugar in your life, what you're drinking and what you're eating, and just see how much adds up for the first day. Just, be a conscious or mindful eater throughout your first week, we'll call it, in the challenge. So challenge yourself for a week just to see, without changing anything, how much sugar you're eating. And then from there, kind of just analyze, all right, what can I reduce or remove in my diet or replace in my diet in order to try to get down to the levels that are recommended, so hopefully avoiding these health complications down the road. If you are a fit person that is eating a bunch of sugar right now, that's probably great right now, but just realize the science is showing that you're just increasing your risk of complications down the road by consuming too much sugar. So I hope you found this video useful for today. If you have any questions or comments, please throw them down below, and I'm more than willing to talk about them in future videos. So again, thank you for all the support. Love you guys, and talk to you later. See ya.